this hat tutorial you need fingering weight yarn with 3 colors. Then you need a stitch marker, a tapestry needle, a tape measure and a pair of scissors. The yarn that I used here is Wool Me Once Fibers Merino single. For this pattern I used color 1, which is Wool Me Once Fibers color Aslan. I used 34 grams, 136 yards, which is in meters 125. Then I had color 2, which is Waiting for Henry. I used 18 grams, 72 yards, 66 meters. And then the third color that I had was Solar Flare. I used 13 grams, 52 yards, 48 meters. Also you need 2 sets of needles. You need US 2.5 or 3 millimeter needles for the brim, and then for the body of the beanie you need US 4 3.5 millimeter needles. I've used long circular needles and magic loop technique, but if you want to use shorter needle, that's okay too. First we are doing a long tail cast on, so I am measuring roughly 1.5 meters, 60 inches yarn tail, and when I have measured that, I'm doing a slip knot. So slip knot is made like this. You will knot and making a loop, which you will put on your needle. And I'm using here a long circular needle, which is 3 millimeter needle, US 2 size needle, and I'm putting the both needles into the slip knot. And then I have my yarn tail here, the 1.5 meters long yarn tail, and a yarn that is coming from the skein that I'm using, and I'm starting a long tail cast on. So I'm always using double needles here. When I have finished my cast on, I will pull the other needle away, and I have a long circular needle here, so they will stay together when I pull the other needle away. Then I'm putting my yarn that is coming from the skein on my index finger, and the yarn tail that I have is on my thumb, and then I'm starting to make stitches, cast on stitches. So I will first go from the yarn tail, under the yarn tail, then over the yarn that is coming from the skein, and tidying it up. I have a loop there, stitch there. Doing again, under and over, going under and over, and I'm going to make 120 stitches. You can use some other cast on method here too, it's also possible, but for this beanie I am making 120 stitches. Okay, now I have 120 stitches here, and I've I have some half meters left with this yarn tail, so I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter so it won't bother there. And then I'm joining this in the round. So I will pull the other needle away from here. That's it. And then the stitch is kind of stretched a bit, so I'm pulling them back. This is quite many stitches for a beanie, but I have a very light yarn here. It's fingering weight yarn, so it's not that much, it's just the right amount. Then I am roughly, since I have a long circular needle here, you can also use a shorter one to make it easier to knit in the round if you prefer that, but I don't have actually this sized needle as a shorter one, so I have to use magic loop technique here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pull the extra cable of this needle, so it will make a loop here like that. And I'm making sure that my stitches are in the same direction all the way, like that, so it won't twist there. You have to be sure that stitches are up. Okay. Then I have my working yarn here, so I have to bring it up, and then I'm making another loop, so I'm pulling this needle so it will make a loop to this end also. Then I'm starting to work one by one ribbing, so knit one, purl one ribbing in the round. So I will work the first stitch here. It's knit stitch, then a purl stitch, a knit stitch, a purl stitch, knit, purl. If my purling looks weird, it might be look weird for you, but it's the way that I've learned. It's the Finnish way, although some Finns do it like this, so they bring the yarn in front and then they purl, but for me purling is easier when I keep the yarn in the same position all the time, so it will be there even if I knit, even if I purl. I'm gonna work to the end of this needle, so you will see what happens when I come to the end with this magic loop technique. So this is called magic loop when you are working with a long circular needle, a smaller amount of stitches. That is the length of the needle. Okay, I'm almost at the end of this needle. So here I go. Okay, the last stitch was knit stitch. So what is going to happen here is that again I am pulling a bit this needle away, then I'm pulling the extra loop. I'm also holding here that so the my stitches won't twist too much. I'm pulling this extra loop here, then I'm turning to work like I'm continuing from here, then I'm sliding the stitches to the working to the end of this needle, so I can continue here. Then I'm pulling this needle and making a loop here, and then I'm continuing. I had knit stitch there, so I will start purling from here. So purl, knit, okay, now I'm working the last repeats, knit and purl, and as you can see, now the gap between in the beginning of a round is quite large, but it will ease out when you are working a few more rows. And since we are working a double folded brim, it doesn't actually bother you, since the cast on edge is folded later, and the gap will get hidden there. So once again I'm doing the magic loop, so I will slide the stitches in the working end of the needle. Then I'm taking the working yarn that I have here and pulling this, making a loop here. Now what I forgot to say when I was joining this in the round, if you are working with shorter circular needle, you might want to put a marker here to present the beginning of the round. So when you come to the marker, you just slip it from a needle to another. Now that I'm working magic loop, I'm not putting my marker on the needle, because when I'm at the end of the needle and I'm dropping this needle off, the marker would drop down, so I'm putting it here. So it will remind me where is the beginning of the round, and I could lift it up once I have worked a few more rounds, so I could lift it more up so I could more visibly see where is the beginning of the round. So I'm continuing knit one purl one ribbing, and as you can see, now that I tighten the gap here, it's much more shorter, and it's just going to be just okay once you have worked a few more rounds. Now, how much we are going to do this knit one purl one ribbing? We are doing it for at least 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So I'm going to pause the video now, and I'm coming back when I have worked 10 centimeters ribbing. Okay, now I have a brim here which is 10 centimeters long. Actually mine is 10 centimeters and a half, so approximately 4 inches long piece. So now I'm going to fold it and pick each cast on stitch and work it together with each live stitch. I am also switching to larger needles. These are 3.5mm needles, which is US 4 needles. So this is like 0.5mm larger needle than this needle in which I worked the brim. So let's begin. So now I have my first stitch here. It's a knit stitch, as you can see, a knit column presenting I'm folding this here, and I have a marker here which indicates the same column that I have here. So as you can see, when I fold it back, it's the same column here. So I will fold it here, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm taking my other needle, the larger needle, and I'm knitting through the first stitch and the live stitch that was and the cast on stitch that you have, cast on loop there. So oops, and be careful that you don't knit through that stitch marker. So there you go. You have your first stitch here, knit, then the second one, and now you have to make sure that you are knitting the next stitch. So if I have purl stitch here, now that it's folded, it's knit column here. So then you go to the next. You have to help a bit with the needle to catch the cast on stitch there. Okay, now I have reached the end of the needle and I have the other half of the beanie to go, but I wanted to show you how the edging will look on the wrong side. So it will make a seam there that is hidden on wrong side of the beanie when you are wearing the beanie. At the end of knitting all the live stitches together with the cast on edge, but as my circular needle got so heavy and it drops, so you might want to remove the last stitches onto some smaller needle. The cable needle like this is good that I have here, because I can kind of rest those stitches waiting there before they are going, and I can hold this much more easier in my hand when working the last stitches together with the remaining stitches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these stitches here, and then I'm helping with my hand here to get the last edge stitches like that. Once again, I'm going there and leaving this stitch to wait. This is a bit difficult and you have to pull your work a little to get those last edge stitches to come more easily, and then you might want to help the live stitch also together. And then I have my last stitch here, so picking up a cast on edge that's there. To get it together. The last stitch, this is a bit difficult, but it's worth it. Now I have picked all stitches, cast on stitches, and worked them together with the live stitches, and I have folded thing here. And now I can continue like I was. I can also remove the marker or put it in the better place. I want to keep, since I'm working magic loop, I want to keep it here so it won't drop from my needle. This column shows where my beginning of a row is. So now I'm continuing with the beanie pattern with this larger needle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to purl the next round. So the complete round will be purled. Okay, now I'm bringing another color into place, so I'll have my contrasting color, and I have purled one round after I worked the double brim here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to knit with this color for 4 rounds. Okay, I decided to knit 2 rounds for this to show you how I will deal with the yarns that I have here, because I have two yarns now that are coming from the skeins. So I have this yarn that I begin with, this yarn, and then I have this contrasting color yarn here, which is now a bit tangled with my other yarn, so I will deal with them. Now I want to just tie this brim colored yarn with this working yarn, just to make sure that it will be nicely carried there, and it won't tight when I have finished with the pattern. So I will bring it under and over, then I'm bringing the working yarn that I'm working with once again over, so it's kind of tight like this, and I will just continue with the contrasting color yarn, and you should do this on every 2 rows to keep it nice. And I will knit 2 more rounds to get 4 total stockinette stitches rounds with this contrasting color. Okay, now I have knit 4 rounds with contrasting color, and now I'm starting the pattern repeat, but I'm using this color in which I work the brim. So first what is going to happen is that I drop the first stitch, and I'm going to drop it until the color that I have here, the stitch that is colored with the same color than the working yarn. And then I'm going to knit these horizontal bars that are coming from the stitches that I drop together with that stitch below, with the main yarn color that I have here. That's it. Then I'm going to continue. I'm going to knit 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's count them. So I had 1 stitch, which is the knit stitch here, and then 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I'm going to make the repeat. So I will drop the stitch for 4 rows, catching the stitch below. So I have 4 horizontal bars here, which I'm working together with the live stitch below. Then again I'm knitting 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. And then again repeat, dropping 4 stitches, catching the stitch, knitting it together with those horizontal bars. Then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's see, yes. Dropping 4 rows, knitting it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. So the place where the drop 4 rows and knit together is placing is always over the knit column of your brim. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that was convenient. Then knitting it together with the stitch. Then repeating this to the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. Yes, dropping the stitch together. And this is repeated on the end. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. 12 stitch is dropped. And since you begin with dropping the stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Drop the stitch, knit it together with those bars. You should end with 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Since you have 120 stitches. That's it. Okay, next round is purl round. So you will purl the next round. And I will come back after I have purled this round, so I will stop the video. Okay, now I have purled one round and I have my pattern here. What is going to happen next is that you repeat those 4 stockinette stitch rows with contrasting color, and then you are going to work the same pattern after that, dropping stitches, knitting 11, and then dropping again stitches, knitting it together. So now 4 rounds of knit stitches. Now I have again worked 4 rows in stockinette stitch with this contrasting color or other color, and then I'm continuing with the same color as this brim, so I'm repeating this repeat that I did before. I am bringing the working yarn that I had over and bringing this new yarn under here, so the yarns will go more nicely in the back of the work. Then I'm dropping 4 stitches and I'm catching the stitch below and knitting it together with those horizontal bars. Then working again 11 stitches, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and again dropping a stitch, repeating the pattern. So you will get this the drop of the stitches is done in the same place as in the previous repeat, so you can easily see when you have to drop the stitch. Then you will work like this to the end of the round, and then you will purl one round as I did before. Okay, now I'm bringing a third color here, so I have worked 2 repeats, 2 times the pattern repeat 4 row stockinette stitch, drop stitches for 4 rows, knit them together with the stitch, knit 11, 10 repeat from the beginning, and that's what I have done 2 times. Now I'm bringing the third color here, and I am continuing 4 rows in stockinette stitch. You can also, if you don't want to use a third color, you can also work continue with those 2 colors, but I am doing a little bit different pattern repeat with this color. So first I'm knitting 4 rounds and then happens something else. But it is also possible to continue with this original contrasting color. Now I have worked 4 rows with the third color, and now what is going to happen is that I'm shifting this pattern repeat. So I will switch to the first color, catching the other colors from below so they will stick with this knitting, and they will stay in the back of the wrong side more nicely. So I'm knitting 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to drop a stitch for 4 rows and catch the stitch underneath, knitting it together with those horizontal bars. So 1, 2, 4, 6 stitches knit, 1 stitch drop, and then I'm knitting 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Dropping again, and knitting it together with the remaining horizontal pars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is how I continue until the end, and since you started with 6 knit stitches, you will end with 5 knit stitches here. So this is how you repeat until the end of the row. I am almost at the end of the row. I will knit my last 5 stitches after last repeat, and then, like before, I'm purling again with the original yarn that I have. So purl 1 round with the first color. done the repeats. I have done 4 rows with the third color, 4 rows of stockinette stitch. Then I started with 2, 4, 6 knit stitches, dropped the stitch for 4 rows and knitted together, knit the horizontal bars together with the presenting stitch. Then I purled 1 round, and now I'm working stockinette stitch with third color for 4 rounds. Now I have worked 4 knit rows after the first repeat with third color, and I am about to start again the pattern repeat that I did here. So taking the first color and knitting 1 round with that color. I will tie those yarns here so that they will just carry more easily with me behind the beanie. So knit 1, knit 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then drop a stitch for 4 rounds and knit it together. Then again knit 11, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So in this repeat the dropping of stitches comes to the same column as before, so it's the same column here. And I'm repeating like this, always knitting 11 and then dropping stitch 4 rows, knitting the horizontal bars together with the presenting stitch. And then because I first knit 6 stitches, I'm ending with 5 knit stitches. And that's it. Then I will purl 1 round as here. Okay, now I have repeated the pattern repeat 1 more time. So I have now 2 blocks here. The one which I did with the first color and the second color, and the one I did with the third color and the first color. And as you can see, the blocks are or the bricks are kind of in a different position here. So what I'm going to now do is that I repeat this part 1 more time and then 2 more times. So I will now knit 4 rounds with the second color. Then I'm going to repeat this repeat that I did, knit 11 and then drop a stitch. Then repeating that repeat again, so I will make 2 discolored bricks. Then I'm going back to this repeat, so I am starting with 6 knit stitches and then dropping the stitch. And I'm going to repeat this twice. And then I'm going to repeat all that once again, so I will get 2 more blocks here. Now it's time to measure the hat. So it's approximately 21 centimeters from the cast on, which means about 8¼ inches. And now we will begin the crown shaping, and we can cut the third yarn, which is this colored yarn. There we go, and we can put it aside, and then we continue with the second color. And I am going to do a pattern repeat in which I'm going to start decreasing stitches. Okay, and the pattern repeat for decreases is that first you will knit one round with the color 2, which is this color. Okay, and then starts the pattern repeat. So the pattern repeat goes like this. It's knit 3, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 3. So I have used 12 stitches but decreased 2 stitches, so I have 10 stitches. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I'm repeating this all over the round, so I'm going to knit 3, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 3, and then repeating that. Knit 3, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 3, knit 3, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 3. And this is how I go until the end of the round. Okay, I have reached the end of the first decrease round, and then I'm going to knit the next round. Now I have knit the third round, so the fourth round will be decrease round again, and the pattern repeat is, here is my marker indicating the beginning of round, so I have already knit 1 stitch. I will knit another, so knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2. So I have used 10 stitches, decreased 2 stitches. I have 8 stitches left. 2, 4, 6, 8. And I'm repeating this 1 round. So knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2. Again, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2. And and like this I'm going until the end of the round. Knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2. Okay, at this point you may want to count your stitches. So the first decrease round decreased 20 stitches. So originally you had 120 stitches. The decrease round decreased 20 stitches. You have 100 stitches after first decrease round. After second decrease round you should have 80 stitches, because the second decrease round also decreased 20 stitches. So at this point you will have 80 stitches. Now we will continue with the first color pattern repeats. So I will drop 4 stitches here, knit the stitch together with the horizontal bars, and then I will knit 7 stitches, since my repeat is now only 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see, we have 1 stitch here in which we drop the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. And then I'm dropping stitches again. And as you can see, this drop comes to the same place as we have here below. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drop the stitch for 4 rows. Knit together with the horizontal bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drop the stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drop the stitch. Drop the stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1 row completed. Slip to marker, and then we will purl. Oops, I got something weird happening here. Purl with the same color 1 round. Now I have purled the round with the color of 1, and then I'm knitting the next round. I have to pull my needle here because it's impossible to work with. So magic looping again. Knit 1 round with color 2, so the second color that we joined in. Now I've reached the end of the first round, and what is happening next is that I am going to decrease again, so I will knit 2. I'm doing a magic loop here, so the first stitch is already knit, then 1, 2, then knit 2 together 1 time and 2 times, and then knitting 2, repeating that, knit 2, knit 2 together 1 time, knit 2 together 2nd time, knit 2, repeating, knit 2, knit 2 together 2 times, then knit 2 again, knit 2, knit 2 together 2 times, knit 2, and repeating this until the end of the round. Times, knit 2, knit 2, knit 2 together 2 times, and then knit 2, and I've reached the end of the round. The second round is only knit, so knit 1 round, or the third, this is actually the third round of this pattern repeat, so knit 1 round. Now I'm reaching the end of the third round, the knit round. Now slipping to marker, and then the comes again a decrease round, which is repeated like this, knit 2, 1, two, knit 2 together, knit 2, again repeat, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2, knit 2 together, and knit 2, repeat, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2, knit 2 together, and knit 2. That's it. Okay, then we will do one more repeat with the color one. So the first stitch is drop the stitch and knit it together with those horizontal bars. Oops, there is some extra yarn coming in. That's it. And then the increase row previously decreased 10 stitches altogether, so at this point you have 50 stitches now. So now what you will do is that you knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, dropping a stitch again, so your repeat is now only 5 stitches. drop the stitch for 4 rows, knit it together with the horizontal bars, and then knit 4. Again, drop the stitch. So your column of dropped stitch is at the same place as in the previous repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this. And 1, 2, 3, 4. The next round is purl round as usual with this yarn. So you will purl 1 round. Okay, now I have purled the round, and now comes the last decrease round, and you will continue with this yarn that you have. You can cut the second yarn, which is this one. There you go. And I have my marker here, but I'm going to just remove it for now because it will drop anyway once I start to, because I have to do this magic loop. So the next round will be knit 2 together all the way to the end. So I'm removing my marker here just to indicate the beginning of a round. So knit 2 together all the way to the end of the round. Now you had 50 stitches, so you will knit 2 together 25 times, and you will end up with 25 stitches. Now I'm in the beginning of a round. I have 20 stitches on my needle. I will do the knit 2 together decrease round once more. So since I have 22 stitches, I will end up with 1 stitch left. So that's okay, since after that the yarn is cut and pulled through the remaining stitches, so that's quite okay at this point. So I will end up with actually 13 stitches if I count it right. So we will go like this to the end of the round. Yes. Okay, I have 1 stitch left now. I'm cutting the yarn, leaving the tail that I can use when I weave the ends, and now I'm pulling the yarn through the remaining stitches, and I'm kind of knitting them like this. Continuing to the other side. You could also thread this yarn with needle, but this is the way I'm doing. So I'm knitting 2 together and always pulling the yarn and dropping the stitches off the needle like this. This is the easy way to do it, and I don't have to use tapestry needle at this point. like this. Then I'm going to just pull it tight. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to weave the ends next. So I will get back on that soon. Now I'm weaving in the ends. I am first working this top of the hat, and I will thread the yarn round of the crown shaping before I put it in the wrong side of the work from the middle of the spot. Then I have to turn the hat around and find my needle, then doing the same on the wrong side. And then I'm going to find a few stitches where I could put this in. That's it. Now all the yarn ends are weaved in. As you can see, the wrong side where I carried the yarns is quite visible here. Since I have used 3 yarns, there are lots of dangling there, but it will be just nice from the right side of the work. And you should keep this side of the work behind on the back of the head. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to wet block this beanie, so the stitch pattern will smooth down and will be much more nicer to see once I have wet this beanie one more time. I will put in the end how I'm doing that.